And they know better than you.
Yeah, right. You know,
aren't they?
Well, I don't know
listen,
the
sneaking out to go see the boys started in their care.
Aren't they the ones who went to school? Aren't they the ones who know child psychology?
What I'm saying,
and what's best for the child and what's best for the development of the child?
I
mean, isn't that the case?
But
I think they claim that, but it's not necessarily true.
I have
in the 20 years taxi drivers history.
Sure.
No,
but
really?
One of the social workers was a taxi driver.
You mean not all social workers go to school? Not all social workers are trained in child psychology? Not all social workers actually have a clue what's actually best for the development of the mind of a child?
Well, we don't know exactly what they learned, but in the case where the social worker that took my children away, that did the actual removal, I used to babysit her children, and I remember her showing up to pick her kids up so high that, you know, I had arguments with her. Well, I'll just keep them here overnight. No, I'm taking them all. I'll be fine. It was just a few pills, you know. And then she goes to pick up her other child who's at a daycare, leaves her two young children, one 18 months old, one 4 months old, in the car running, and the 18-month-old drives it through a daycare wall. How many children could have possibly injured because she was too stoned to remember that we don't leave 18-month-old and 4-month-old babies alone in the car. And she's the one who didn't like the way that I parented my children. She took my children away while I was unconscious in a hospital in Victoria. Why? Why did she have the right? And she also used to sit around smoking weed in front of her kids. And her 5-year-old told me that, you know, mommy leaves me responsible at night when she goes out. And she took my kids away. Wow, like that's so hard to live with.
Are you saying that this is really strange for a social worker to do a fouled up job like that?
But she judging me as a mother, I'm talking from a down to earth, her being human being, me being human being, us being equal people on this planet. And I never said one word about her. I'd like to now.
Well, you're getting your chance.
I never said one word to her except I'd like to keep the children here for the night because, you know, I was thinking about them, not her. You know, but then later on when she has the opportunity, you know, she takes my kids away from me out of spite. Not good.
Well,
and then in court saying, you know, when later on in court she's questioned by my daughter's father, you know, when you found out, you know, or what he said to her, you know, looking back on it, how do you feel about the fact that Colleen used to babysit your children? It just sickens me to think that she looked after my children. I thought that was the only time they got a bath. That was the only time anybody sterilized their formula water. Like, come on. Holy cow. I can't get over the fact, like, it would be easier to deal with all this if the mother that took my children away wasn't
such a shitty mother.
Wasn't that type of mother. I don't know if she's a shitty mother, Alvin, but there's mothers who are a little bit careless, and then there's mothers who aren't, you know, like you don't take safety risks with your children, like leaving a 5-year-old responsible for 2 little babies so you can go out.
Well, I query the drugs that she's on too. I mean, and if she's mixing them with doctor drugs,
well, you know what they were?
You know
what they were? They were speed pills because she wanted to diet and she got really high off them. And then, you know, her daughter, who's 5 years old, literally, you know, one day, can you make me some Slim Fast? I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, my mom lets me use it because I want to get nice and skinny. And I'm like, I can't believe a 5-year-old girl just asked me to make her a Slim Fast shake. I was so shocked. She said her mom and what? I wouldn't let my kids sip on chemicals. Like, it just, all these things. Like, I've got lots of stories about what she was like as a parent. But the fact that she came into my home, you know, and I said, get the hell out. And she said, no, I want to make sure that your daughter's safe while she packs up her stuff and comes home. How can she be the one making the decision? CanadaCourtWatch.com is just full of stories of social workers that abuse and are undereducated and just off the wall. And people should maybe take a look at it. CanadaCourtWatch.com. That's right.
Can I ask you a question? Just getting back to something earlier about their education and deconstruction theory. Can you go into more detail on the psychological approach that the social workers are trained and what that's about versus and why you think that deconstructionism is better, so that people watching this video can get a clear idea in their head about what that's about, and maybe give them some names so that they can do a little research on deconstruction theory on their own.
And to add to that, why is a social worker allowed to use
Skinnerian?
No, from the DSM-4. Is that what it's called? DSM-4. Now, they're not allowed to make medical diagnoses, but they can make evaluations.
No, they can say he may possibly have schizophrenia based on the criteria that's in the DSM-4.
That psychiatrists and psychologists use.
Basically, it's what the psychiatrists call their Bible. It's their diagnostic tool. And apparently, according to a social worker in Duncan, they just take a short course and they are allowed to make assumptions based on diagnosis in that book, which is highly
ridiculous.
Okay, let's take one at a time. Deconstruction refers to the understanding that everyone's opinion has got the same value as anyone else's. The idea comes from a philosopher from France. His name is Jacques Derrida.
How do you spell that? Last name?
D-E-R-R-I-D-A. Jack is his first name. He's a French guy. He's written a whole pile of books, which if you want to read them, good luck. But they're hard to read. They're very obscure. They're very abstract, and you have to take them apart just like the whole theory is. The assumption is that, not the assumption, I think it's quite right, that anytime you read a text, the author is not really the author of that text. Because if he can sit down and write it, it's because he heard it somewhere, read it somewhere. Somehow he pulled it from society as a whole. Right? So his opinions are based on what he hears, what he reads. Right? So language, add to that.
So it's based on his understanding of what.
And when we say interpretation, we're simply saying that the words are just an approximation of a phenomena that you're observing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What that means is that the words, they're not essential. They're not something that if I say black, the word black simply means black. No, it's not. If I can say black, when I use the word black, I am implying that I know every other color in the rainbow. Otherwise, I couldn't know what black is.
Or could we know the colours mixed together?
Yeah, and if I say black, because we're talking about words, right? If I'm using the word black, within that word black, all the other colors are in there too. Because otherwise, I couldn't say the word. So, the application of that into science is that, and this is where the big problem comes in, is that every textbook, every text, every book, the author is not the real author of that text. It's all of us. So you're going to have people who are into the Bible come running after you saying that you're crazy. I would like to say that it's the other way around.